Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. For spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative to the holy name of the holy name of the Lord. Please repeat. For the spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative to the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. Purport. Purport is quite lengthy. Please listen up. For progress in spiritual life, the Shastras recommend meditations in Satya Yuga, sacrifice for the satisfaction of Vishnu in Treta Yuga, and generous worship of the Lord in the temple in Dwapara Yuga. But in the age of Kali, no one can achieve spiritual progress only by But in the age of Kali, one can achieve spiritual progress only by chanting the holy name of the Lord. But in the age of Kali, one can achieve spiritual progress only by chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is confirmed in various scriptures. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many references to this fact. In the 12th canto, 351, it is said, Kalir doshanide rajan asti eko mahagunaha kirtana eva krishnasya mukta sangam param vijay. In the age of Kali, there are many faults, for people are subjected to many miserable conditions. Yet in this age, there is one great benediction. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can be freed from all material contamination and thus be elevated to the spiritual world. The Narada Pancharatra also praises the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as follows. Trayo Veda Sad Angani Chandamsi Vidavhasuraha Sarvam Astak Sararatan Stam Yachchanyan Apivan Mayam Sarva Vedanta Sarata Samsara Nava Taranaha. The essence of all Vedic knowledge, comprehending the three kinds of Vedic activity, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. So who knows what Karma Kanda is? What is Karma Kanda? Following the rituals in the Vedas simply to elevate oneself to a better material situation. I want to go to heaven and enjoy better material life. This London is not as good as I wanted it to be. So there's a better place. It's in heaven, right? Better shoes, better saris, better cars, computers that you don't have to replace so often. So many better things. Karma Kanda. Let me worship God for better material life. Karma. The Vedas give you injunctions, huh? But what does that get you? Another birth, and another birth, and another birth, and another birth, till you get tired of taking birth. So there's that facility is given in the Shastras simply to elevate one to the platform of fulfilling some material desires, but then when you try to do till you find the happiness in that fulfillment, what happens? You can't find it. Because even in the higher planets, although their material happiness is greater and more, what we say, available, still the satisfaction of the soul is not given. One cannot simply satisfy the material body and at the same time satisfy the self. So, Karma Kanda. And then, Prabhupada goes on, Jnana Kanda. What is Jnana Kanda? Well, that's also the Vedas. Who knows what Jnana Kanda is? So many pundits today. I don't know who's to choose from. Who knows Jnana Kanda? Moon is not liberation, the desire to free oneself from all material suffering and attain the platform of liberation. Right? To become free from all material, and then there's different types of liberation, but basically it's talking about Sahuja liberation, to become one with the Lord, to merge into the body of the Lord, to merge into the body effulgence of the Lord. So that facility is also given in the Vedas. The Vedas are vast. That's why Krishna told Arjuna, Try Veda Vedanas, what is it? Try Gunya Visaya Veda, this Triguna Bhavarjuna, Nir Dwandron Nityasattva, Nir Yoga Shema Advama. He said, the Vedas deal with the three modes of material nature. Rise above the Vedas, come to the conclusion of all Vedic knowledge, and what is that? Upasana Kanda, or devotional service. Otherwise, the Vedas are just for elevation. But when you know the goal, what's the use of going through the elevation? Go right to the goal. So, Jnana-kanda is simply freedom from material suffering, which is temporary. And then one has to fall down again into the material world, again to take up karma-kanda, or materialistic activities. So the Vedic hymns allow that. And the process for satisfying the demigods is included in the 8 syllables, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is the reality of all the Vedanta. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the only means to cross the ocean of nescience. Similarly, in the Kali Santara Upanishads it is stated, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These 16 names, composed of 32 syllables, are the only means to counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. In all the Vedas it is seen that to cross the ocean of nescience there is no alternative to the chanting of the holy name. Similarly, Sri Madhvacharya, while commenting upon the Mundaka Upanishads, has quoted the following verse from the Narayan Samhita. Dwarparai Janan Vishnu Pancharatrais Tukevalai Kalotu Nama Matrena Pujyate Bhagavan Harihi. In Dwarpa Yuga, one could satisfy Krishna or Vishnu only by worshipping him gorgeously according to Pancharatriki system, which means deity worship. So deity worship was the means for self-realization in the previous yuga. Still, we perform deity worship in this age, but it's not the Yuga Dharma. It supports the Yuga Dharma. And it's so important that without it, we would be very, what we say, lost, simply trying to purify ourselves simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There's only a few rare souls that can do that. So, study of the scriptures, performing various types of ceremonies to honor the Lord, and worshiping the deities support and give what we say purification, where we can approach Krishna in His holy name. Because pure chanting is only the real chanting. Offensive chanting is simply something that we have to get through and get to the platform of pure chanting. If we stay on the platform of offensive chanting, we will never taste the happiness of Krishna consciousness or the mercy of the holy name. So these other processes, such as deity worship, help us to get free from what we say the lower modes and bring us to the mode of goodness. And from the mode of goodness we can practice chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So in Dwarpa Yuga, one could satisfy Krishna or Vishnu only by worshipping gorgeously according to the Pancharatriki system. But in the age of Kali, one can satisfy and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, simply by chanting Hare Krishna, or the holy name. It's easy. Wow, so easy. How much paraphernalia, time, arrangements, so many things you need for deity worship, but for the holy name, what do you need? Tongue and an ear. We got 2 ears. You can hear from both sides. So, it's the paraphernalia is already provided. It's already there. So we might say it's easier in that sense. In his Bhakti Sandarbha, text 284, Srila Jiva Goswami strongly emphasizes the chanting of the holy name as follows. Oh my God, is like, ooh. It's like 1/5 of a page of Sanskrit. Should I read it? You want to hear the Sanskrit? Yeah? No? No? Okay, thank you. I was waiting for that. Thank you very much. I'm just trying to please the devotees, okay. Srila Jiva Goswami states that the substance of all Vedic mantras is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Every mantra begins with the prefix Nama Om and eventually addresses the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the supreme will of the Lord, there is specific potency in each and every mantra chanted by great sages like Narada Muni and other rishis. Chanting of the holy name of the Lord immediately immediately renovates the transcendental relationship of the Lord, of the living being with the Supreme Lord. So renovates, renews, rejuvenates, refreshes, makes better our relationship. But the relationship's already there. Our relationship to the Lord is eternal, can never be lost, can only be forgotten. So the holy name renovates or renews and brings that relationship to our consciousness. To chant the holy name of the Lord, one need not depend upon other paraphernalia. For one can immediately get all the desired results of linking the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It may therefore be questioned why there is a necessity for initiation. Here we go, controversy. Or further spiritual activities in devotional service for one who is engaged in chanting of the whole. Why not just chant? Don't do anything else. Okay. How many are in favor of that? Okay, you're gonna get smashed. Okay. The answer is that although it is correct that one who fully engages in chanting of the holy name need not depend on the process of initiation, generally a devotee is addicted to many abominable material habits like taking chai and garlic, onions. What else? Mushrooms, yeah. So many other things. Watching, cinema, movies, all these things. Going to parties. Jai Sisi Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai. Shri Sai Nitai Gaura Chandra Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. So, the worship of the deity in the temple is essential to reduce one's restlessness due to contamination of conditional life. Thus, Narada in his Pancharatrika Vidi and other great sages has sometimes stressed that even since every conditioned soul has bodily conception of life aimed at sense enjoyment, to restrict this sense enjoyment, the rules and regulations of worship of the deity in the temple are essential. Srila Rupa Goswami has described that the holy name of the Lord can be chanted by liberated souls, but almost all the souls we have to initiate are conditioned. It is advised that one chant the holy name of the Lord without offenses and according to the regulative principles. Yet due to their past bad habits, they violate these rules and regulations. Thus, the regulative principles for worship of the deity are also simultaneously essential. Om Agyan Timidandasya Gyana Jana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ajanu Lambita Bujo Kanakama Takso Sankirtanai Papitaro Kamalaya Takso Vishwambaro Dvijabaro Yuga Dharma Phalo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Avataro Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sanodido Gorodaya Pushpanvanto Chitra Samotamo Nudo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivin Panchatattvamakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avatar Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Chanting of the holy names of the Lord is independent, free, and not dependent on anything. But because of our association with material life, Mitche Mayaravase Kachuha Bubububai Jeev Krishna Das Hey Vishwa Koleda Dukanai. So many lifetimes. Life after life after life after life after life. Going from one species to another. Sometimes, Karano Guna Sangosho Sarasa Jonya Janmashu. Sometimes higher, sometimes lower, sometimes in between. Different places within the in-between and the higher and lower. So many varieties of opportunities to take birth in different situations with different bodies and different, when we say characteristics, unlimited. Material energy, although is limited, it appears to be unlimited in its varieties. 8,400,000 species, but within the species there's varieties of species within the species. So the 8,400,000 are categories, but there's categories within the categories. So, and Prabhupada has mentioned many times, to get to the human form of life, the sojourn is through all these other bodies. And so the condition is strong. Material condition is unnatural, but it's strong. It's strong. Therefore, the most powerful, direct, and what we say effective process, what is that verse? Iti sodashtakam nam nam kalikam sanasanam nata parateo payo sarva vedashu drishyatre Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. This is from the Kali Santara Upanishads. Prabhupada quotes half of the verse, but it's from Lord Brahma himself. And Brahma is explaining that you could search through all the Vedic knowledge and carefully try to evaluate, discriminate, and understand what is the essence. And if you have that type of intelligence, you'll come to the conclusion it's chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The essence of the essence. The essence of everything is bhakti, but the essence of bhakti is chanting Hare Krishna. So simple, yet so powerful, yet so direct, and so purifying. It says once, just once, if you chant the holy name to get purely, all the sinful activities that you've committed for whatever lives you've been in the material world, finished, eradicated. The reactions are all destroyed. That's how powerful the holy name is. But that's pure chanting. What is pure chanting? Ajamil, what was his situation? Growing up in a Brahmin family, good training, qualified in so many ways, good parents, education, culture, so many things. Living a somewhat of a sheltered life within his realm of youthhood, just happened to go out on the streets and saw something he shouldn't have saw. And his mind became disturbed, so much so that he became attracted. And he chased after a prostitute, married her, and his whole life became one of trying to support her very luxurious lifestyle. And therefore he took to whatever he needed to do to get money to support her. And so much so, Prabhupada said he was even committing crimes, kidnapping people for money. That was Ajamil. And so he lived his life like that. And at the age of 86, he had a child. Wow! Try that and don't try it. No, forget about it. Forget it even. So anyway, we don't want to get into discuss that one. But anyway, I mean, you think about it, 86, it should be, of course, maybe there was a little bit more Shakti in those days, but anyway. Now, because of television, everything's going to hell. If you want to die fast, just watch television. It reduces your life considerably. And it's worse than arsenic. So anyway, he just... and he got a child. But because of the culture, because of his upbringing, he named the child after the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. And therefore, being old, almost like a grandfather to his son, the son was his son, but he was like a grandfather in age, very attached to the youngest, and chanting, calling him, Narayan, bring my shoes, Narayan, come here, Narayan, so many things. And then one day, as it will happen to all of us, that a knock on the door, who's that? Death. And if you don't open the door, he gets in anyway. So anyway, there's nothing much you can do. And he just called out for the Supreme, not for the Supreme Lord, but for his child, Narayan, because that was the most dearest thing in his life. But he called in such a way that when he called, he remembered the Lord by the calling of his own child's name. It's interesting. He called with such desperation, being attacked by death, that he called. And it was like without offense, without any pretense, not trying to gain anything. He was just calling for help, shelter. But his son can't give him shelter. But because the name was there, and because God is so merciful, that even Agyata Sukriti, unknowingly performing devotional service, one gets the benefit. So he got the benefit of being freed from the effects of death. And he got another chance to purify himself, and he did. And he went back home, back to Godhead after that. But that one calling freed him. And that's the name of Narayan. The name of Krishna is more powerful. The name of Krishna is more powerful than the name of Narayan. Because actually, if you chant the name of Narayan, I think it says in the Shastras, anyway, if you chant Vishnu's name 1,000 times, 100 times, you get the benefit of chanting one name of Ram. And if you chant Ram's name 3 times, you get the benefit of chanting one name of Krishna. So the ultimate principle of spiritual power is found in Krishna's name. It's the embodiment of the highest perfection of spiritual energy. It's all in Krishna's name. Krishna's name is the most powerful of all the names of God. And so, but he chanted Narayan, he still got mercy. So that's how powerful the name is. So we're chanting every day the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on beads. But what is our approach to the holy name? Do we have, as Prabhupada says here in the very beginning, in the age of Kali, one can achieve progress only, he uses the word only, by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So that's a powerful message. So to come to that stage of wanting to chant and being eager to chant the holy names of the Lord is a process of purifying himself by chanting the holy names of the Lord and following the process of bhakti. Because the process of bhakti is not independent of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Prabhupada said, if you're chanting and you're not following the process as given by the spiritual master, you're cooking with smoke. Try cooking with smoke. Prabhupada said it takes you 300 years to get breakfast. And then it's too late anyway. So, therefore, the process of bhakti and the name, when we say fortify each other. So as we practice. That's why it's mentioned in the very last part, the purport, that one, it's a very, very, is there any very rare souls in this audience now that can say, I don't need an initiation, I'm an avatar from last life, and I've descended and I'm chanting the holy names, and therefore I'm pure. If you can do that, no problem. You can do that, no problem. In other words, you don't need initiation. There are some rare souls, due to previous lives, that somehow come and can practice the chanting of the holy name. They're free from any sinful contamination and sinful desires, and they're purified already. And they take up the chanting of the holy name, and there's no need for Diksha initiation. But Prabhupada said that's not the norm. That's not the norm. The norm is to take shelter of Krishna's representative and receive what is called Harinam initiation. Because Harinam initiation gives one entrance into the chanting of the holy name. It becomes blessed by the spiritual master, and one gets the facility to chant with the guidance and mercy of the spiritual master, along with the direction of the process of devotional service. Because devotional service, Prabhupada said, it's not easy to practice devotional service. It's very difficult, because there's a lot of subtleties in the process of devotional service that has to be discriminated between material activities. Because we can be performing material activities and still think it's spiritual. Give you an example. You go before the deities and you say, my dear Lord, I lost my wallet, and there was some money in there, and I was going to give it to you, but because I lost it, and because you're the controller of everything, it was your fault. So please give me my wallet back, and I'll give you a donation. Isn't that a deal? Something like that, right? Somebody told me a story. It was a Bhakti Vedanta manner pastime. You want to hear it? You sure? Okay. Maybe the person's in the audience. I hope not. This one, I'm sure she was a very nice lady. She went in front of the deity. She said, my dear Lord, my son is going to school and he has 10 subjects. Please give him 10 A's. She prayed, seriously. The result was he got 9 A's, not 10. She was totally unhappy. She went back before the Lord and said, I prayed for 10, you only gave 9. What happened? You're supposed to be all powerful and perfect. Yeah, this is a true story. I heard this story directly. So, that's not the way to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Or approaching the name in the same way, because the name and the Lord are non-different. So if we approaching the Lord or the name for something material, we won't get the mercy. We may get something material, but that is a deviation away from pure devotional service. When you're granted a material benediction based on your own desire, it can take your consciousness away from it will take your consciousness away from the goal of life. It's better to be miserable. Does that make sense? No. Because you can feelingly call out, Krishna, save me! If you're sitting on your chair watching, the football game, and your health is good, and everything's there, and you got money, friends, family, pretty hard to chant the holy name. It's really hard, because there's too many things going good. And so what does Queen Kunti pray? My dear Lord, you gave me so many benedictions, and I don't want them, because, they're stopping my feelingly calling out for your mercy, for your association. So chant in that mood. But chanting in that mood can be done even in the best material situation when we realize it's all temporary. And it's simply here to facilitate some needs, but it's not our happiness, nor is the goal of life. Whatever we have materially can be used in the service of, and must be used in the service of the Lord. But the real benediction is prema bhumar, to purify the heart, to develop our love for Krishna. Because love is the only thing that can satisfy the soul. Love is what everyone is seeking, and love means Krishna. If we're looking for love in this world, we can find it through Krishna. And when we find it through Krishna, we can find it with each other and with all living entities. But if you don't find it in Krishna, it's not real love. It's something else. It's simply a business arrangement in order to facilitate some physical or mental needs, that's all. So the happiness that we strive for is found in our loving relationship for Krishna, nowhere else. Or Ram. I'm not excluding any of the manifestations of the Godhead. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu worship Lord Krishna. So we're followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Prabhupada says in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 65, that all the manifestations of the avatars are worshipable. But we're devotees of Krishna. We're devotees of Krishna. Now you may take issue with that, and you could, and you have an argument, because Murari Gupta was a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he was an incarnation of Hanuman, and he was in Chaitanya Lila to assist Lord Chaitanya in his Lila. And Lord Chaitanya said, "Hey, Murari, you know, Ram's pastimes are nice, but Krishna's pastimes are real sportive and very sweet. So you should worship Krishna." So he was thinking, all right, I'll try. So that night he went home, and he was trying to somehow focus on Krishna and forget about his relationship with Ram. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He cried the whole night. He was totally miserable, didn't sleep at all. The next day he came back, he fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. He said, "I can't follow your instruction. I'm too attached to Raghupati." That was the word he used. And Lord Chaitanya smiled. He wrote Ram Das on his head with some tik-tok. But you are Ram Das. He wrote it right on his head. Ram Das. So Lord Chaitanya, although, he's worshipping Krishna, he gave facilities for those who have that internal mood of Ram or Nrsingadev. Because even in the greatest commentary in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is glorified by Lord Chaitanya, is Sridhar Swami. And who's Sridhar Swami's worshipful deity? Nrsingadev. That's his Istadev. That's his worshipful Lord. So even the greatest commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, which is all about Krishna, at least the essence is Sridhar Swami, a worshipper of Nrsingadev. But still, we can worship all the manifestations of the Lord and ultimately come to the platform of worshiping the Yuga Dharma, and that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's where we want to focus our mercy on, because through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everything is revealed in this age. We can't skip over Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and go right to Krishna, Ram, or any of the incarnations. Only through Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya manifested his form as Sadbhuj. He showed that to Nityananda, he showed it to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he showed it at least 3 or 4 times. And what was that Sadbhuj form? He was Kamandalu and Danda in one hand, in the other hand, bow and arrow, the other 2 hands, in the other hand, flute. He was playing a flute. The 6-armed form, Sadbhuj. He showed that he is a manifestation of all these. So you can worship your Istadeva through worshiping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's the manifestation. He's called Avatar E. He's not an avatar. He's the source of all avatars, and all manifestations of the Godhead are found in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you can't get anyone more merciful than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. Krishna is merciful. Krishna gave mercy to Putana. He gave mercy to Aghasura, who are demons. He gave them liberation, and many other demons. And Ram, what did he give mercy? He gave mercy to a lot of personalities. But he was a little strict. He was very loving, but also very strict in his worship. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so merciful, so kind. Even if you have no qualifications. Even if you're chanting the holy name of the Lord and you're not pronouncing the words properly, but your heart is focused on chanting, He'll accept that. He'll accept it. That's Lord Chaitanya. He's so kind. He's so merciful. Prabhupada said, if you want to understand the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, then use your intelligence to apply that understanding, and you will not be able to succeed. You will fail. You'll fail. You can't figure out Lord Chaitanya's mercy. It's not possible. I remember Prabhupada, one time there was one devotee. He would come to the temple, he would live in the ashram, and then he would get in trouble, do some nonsense, and they would throw him out. And then he'd come back, I'm sorry, please give me another chance, I want to be a devotee of Krishna. He would come back again, and they would allow him to stay back, allow him to come in. And so this kept happening. He was going back and forth. And finally, they thought, all right, this guy's a nonsense. He's not serious. He's always serious when he wants to come back. And maybe he just wants some prasad, I don't know. So anyway, they decided, no more. He can't come in. And they told Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says, he still wants to come back? Prabhupada said, yeah. And they said, yeah. Prabhupada said, how can I refuse him? This is Lord Nityananda's movement. He's kind to Jagai and Madai. We have to give him another chance. That was Prabhupada's heart. Prabhupada's heart was filled with the mercy of Gaura-Nitai. Were so kind, so merciful, that they gave mercy to Jagai and Madai, who were simply dacoits. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says that we're all Jagais and Madais. I mean, many of you have grown up in Vedic culture, good Indian families, never did anything wrong in your life, and you always had the best culture, and you've did pujas your whole life. But most of us are not like that. Most of us came from backgrounds that were just pretty wild, right? Pretty wild. And even now, in this materialistic society, your piety is being challenged every moment. If you watch television, you're breaking the regulative principles. Haribo. Did you see that article by Shiva Ram Maharaj? He just wrote this article. Powerful. You should read it. About watching television means breaking the four regs. And you imbibe these negativities into your consciousness, and he mentions that at one point in your life they will manifest in one form or another. And so we're absorbing the negativity through various types of media in today's consciousness, today's world. So television, even Krishna conscious television, is okay. Better to chant Hare Krishna and read books. You'll get much more. Videos are there. I mean, we like to watch the media because media, so many things there, right? You can surf the net and find so many things. But, it's really a distraction. Pick up your beads and chant Hare Krishna. Because there's no greater panacea. Panacea, the word panacea means cure for everything. Whatever ills are there, materially, spiritual, in between, is found in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Sometimes people write me, Maharaj, this is going wrong, that's going wrong, and this is not right, she's not right, he's not right, I'm not right, nothing's right. What do I do? I said, chant Hare Krishna. Maharaj, give me something practical. Chant Hare Krishna. That's the practical thing. That's the only practical thing. But that's what I'm doing. But keep doing it. That's what I say. Keep chanting until the holy name starts to come into your consciousness. Because quantity brings about quality. Prabhupada compromised with us. He said 16 rounds because that's all you can do. But really, it was 64 rounds. Really. That's what he wanted, because we couldn't do that, so he reduced it to 16. Well, Bhakti Siddhanta says, of course we don't follow Bhakti Siddhanta because he's too strict, but he said, I don't take prasadam from a house that is not a lakpati. Yeah. One who doesn't chant 64 rounds, I don't eat that food. That's Bhakti Siddhanta. Of course, he's a little strict. But the understanding is that Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kolon, Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. Everything we're looking for and more is through the holy name. Why is it mentioned 3 times? The holy name and no other way is both mentioned 3 times. Why? Because in Vedic literature, or Vedic syntax, or how it's explained, grammar, when you say something 3 times, there's no question of anything else. You could say something once. Just like they told me when, if you go to somebody's house and they serve you prasadam, and they offer you something, you say no, that's not good enough. You have to say no at least twice, or is it? What's the call? If you say no once, that means like, yeah. That's what it really means. So no doesn't get it. It doesn't work if you just try it once. You got to kind of say, no. And then you just, you cover the whole plate. Like that. They get the message after a while. So, but in literature, 3 times means no other way. And it also has another meaning. Not by karma, not by gyan, only by bhakti. Like that. So 3 for emphasis. And this verse was spoken by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to make that point. And as you go on with the verses that come up, the emphasis is to this particular verse with references coming up in other aspects of this verse that are going to explain this verse in different ways. So this verse is one of the king of all verses. It's from the Brihat Naradiya Purana. The Puranas support the ultimate goal of bhakti in different ways. And of course, the Amalam Purana is Srimad Bhagavatam, the best of all Puranas. So we have to be convinced that there is no other way for spiritual progress than chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Any questions?